The tragic flight of Asiana Airlines Flight 214 crashed during landing at San Francisco due to pilot error. Welcome to Air Crash Detective. Tonight we delve into the horrific and avoidable story of Asiana Airlines Flight 214. On July 6, 2013, Asiana Airlines Flight 214, a Boeing 777-200ER, was on a scheduled international passenger flight from Incheon International Airport in Seoul, South Korea, to San Francisco International Airport in California, USA. Tragically, this routine flight ended in catastrophe. As the aircraft was attempting to land at San Francisco, it crashed short of the runway, resulting in the deaths of 3 passengers and injuries to 187 others. The investigation revealed that pilot error during the landing approach led to the disaster, highlighting critical issues in pilot training and cockpit communication. Conditions on the day of the flight. On July 6, 2013, the weather at San Francisco International Airport was clear and sunny, with visibility exceeding 10 miles. Winds were light, coming from the southwest at around 7 knots. The temperature was approximately 18 degrees Celsius, 64 degrees Fahrenheit. These favorable weather conditions provided a clear view of the runway and did not significantly impact the approach and landing phases. Despite the excellent weather, the landing approach required precise manual handling due to the airport's visual approach system. A visual approach system requires pilots to manually control the aircraft's descent and alignment with the runway using visual cues from the runway and surrounding terrain. This approach is particularly challenging when pilots are accustomed to relying on instrument landing systems, ILS, that provide more precise guidance through automated signals. The aircraft, Boeing 777-200ER, Asiana Airlines Flight 214, was operated by a Boeing 777-200ER, a long-range, wide-body, twin-engine jet airliner known for its reliability and advanced technology. Model, Boeing 777-200ER, part of the 777 series known for its fuel efficiency and long-range capabilities. First flight, June 12, 1994, featuring advanced avionics and extended range compared to earlier models. Capacity, configured to carry up to 314 passengers in a typical 3-class layout. Maximum altitude, capable of reaching up to 43,100 feet. Range, approximately 7,065 nautical miles, 13,080 kilometers. Engines, equipped with 2 Pratt & Whitney PW 4090 turbofan engines, each providing about 90,000 pounds of thrust. Despite its advanced design, the events of Flight 214 highlighted vulnerabilities in manual landing procedures and pilot training. The airline and its crew. Asiana Airlines is a major South Korean airline with a solid reputation for safety and service. The airline operates a large fleet of aircraft serving numerous international destinations. Asiana Airlines operates a diverse and modern fleet, including models such as the Boeing 777, Airbus A380, and Airbus A320. The airline is known for its rigorous maintenance standards and commitment to safety. Fleet composition. Asiana Airlines fleet includes a mix of wide-body and narrow-body aircraft, designed to serve both long-haul and short-haul routes efficiently. Safety record. Asiana Airlines has historically maintained a strong safety record, although it has experienced a few notable incidents over the years. The airline continually works to improve its safety protocols and pilot training programs to mitigate risks. The crew of Flight 214 included experienced professionals. Captain Lee Kang-kook, aged 45 with over 10,000 flight hours, including 43 hours on the Boeing 777. Captain Lee was undergoing initial operating experience, IOE training on the 777, and was accompanied by an instructor. Captain Lee Jong-min, aged 49, with over 12,000 flight hours, serving as the instructor pilot with extensive experience on the Boeing 777. First Officer Bong Dong-won, aged 41, with over 9,000 flight hours, acting as the relief pilot for the flight. The professionalism and experience of the crew were evident, but the accident highlighted deficiencies in their handling of the landing approach. Flight departure and initial ascent. Asiana Airlines Flight 214 took off from Incheon International Airport in Seoul at 5:04 p.m. local time, heading for San Francisco International Airport. The initial phase of the flight was uneventful, with the aircraft climbing to its cruising altitude of 34,000 feet and maintaining a steady course towards its destination. The crew maintained regular communication with air traffic control, reporting no issues as the aircraft crossed the Pacific Ocean. Passengers on board were enjoying a routine flight, with the cabin crew ensuring their comfort and safety. The weather along the route was favorable, allowing for a smooth journey until the aircraft approached San Francisco. Pre-disaster moments. Asiana Airlines Flight 214 began its approach to San Francisco International Airport, with the crew preparing for a visual landing on runway 28L. Despite the excellent weather, the landing approach required precise manual handling due to the airport's visual approach system. This system relies on visual cues from the runway and approach lighting, rather than relying solely on instrument landing systems, ILS. For pilots, a visual approach requires maintaining a proper glide path and airspeed manually, without the guidance of automated systems like the autopilot. This requires significant skill and attention, particularly for pilots who may be less familiar with visual approaches at specific airports. As the aircraft descended, it became evident that the approach was not stabilized. The aircraft was too high and fast initially, prompting the pilots to reduce the descent rate. During the final approach, the aircraft's speed dropped significantly below the target landing speed of 137 knots. The pilots failed to monitor the airspeed adequately, resulting in a dangerously low airspeed and altitude as they approached the runway. The stick shaker, a device that warns of an impending stall, activated, alerting the pilots to the critical situation. Despite this warning, the pilots did not respond effectively, allowing the aircraft to continue losing speed and altitude. Pilot and air traffic control communication. During the critical moments leading up to the crash, the pilots communicated their situation to air traffic control. Initially, the crew did not indicate any problems, as they were focused on managing the manual approach. As the aircraft's speed dropped dangerously low, the pilots struggled to understand and address the problem. The final communication from the cockpit came just seconds before the crash, with one of the pilots declaring a go-around. The transmission was brief and filled with urgency. Go around. The communication was abruptly cut off as the aircraft continued its descent. ATC's response to the emergency declaration was swift, instructing the crew to maintain altitude and providing vectors for an immediate return to the airport. However, the pilots were unable to comply due to the rapid loss of altitude and speed. The communications in the final moments were marked by increasing desperation and confusion as the crew attempted to diagnose and correct the problem. The catastrophic event. At approximately 11:27 a.m. local time, Asiana Airlines Flight 214 crashed short of runway 28L at San Francisco International Airport. The aircraft's main landing gear and tail struck the seawall at the edge of the runway, causing the tail section to separate from the fuselage. The aircraft then spun around and slid down the runway before coming to a stop. The flight data recorder revealed the sequence of events leading up to the crash, highlighting the critical combination of inadequate airspeed monitoring and delayed response to stall warnings. The aircraft's engines were at idle thrust, and the speed had decayed to the point where aerodynamic lift could no longer support the aircraft, resulting in an aerodynamic stall. The crash site was on the runway itself, which allowed for a swift response from emergency services. However, the impact force and structural breakup caused significant injuries and fatalities among the passengers and crew. Aircraft response to the catastrophe. The Boeing 777-200ER, despite its advanced design and multiple safety features, was unable to overcome the critical failure in manual landing procedures and pilot error. The aircraft's auto-throttle system, which had been disengaged, was unable to prevent the loss of airspeed that led to the stall. The flight data recorder provided detailed insights into the malfunction and the crew's actions, highlighting the need for enhanced training on handling manual landing procedures and recognizing critical flight parameters. The mechanical integrity of the aircraft was not compromised by external factors, but the combination of pilot error and inadequate response led to the catastrophic failure. Crew and passenger final moments. The final moments on Asiana Airlines Flight 214 were marked by confusion, urgency, and a desperate attempt to regain control. The cockpit voice recorder captured the pilot's efforts to troubleshoot the issue, with increasing alarm as the situation deteriorated. The stick shaker's activation and subsequent stall warning added to the urgency, but the crew's response was not timely enough to prevent the crash. Passengers likely experienced a sudden awareness of the abnormal flight behavior, feeling the loss of speed and the unusual descent. The cabin crew, despite their training, would have been unable to manage the situation effectively, given the rapid progression of events. The final seconds before impact were filled with panic and chaos as the aircraft descended uncontrollably. Despite the crew's training and the aircraft's safety features, the combination of pilot error and delayed response rendered all efforts futile. The tragedy highlighted the critical importance of immediate and effective pilot intervention during manual landing procedures. Impact, aftermath, and reforms. The crash of Asiana Airlines Flight 214 resulted in the loss of 3 lives and injuries to 187 others. The deceased were identified as 3 teenage girls from China, Ye Mengyuan and Wang Linjia, both 16 years old, and Liu Yipeng, 15 years old. Ye Mengyuan and Wang Linjia were ejected from the aircraft during the crash, while Liu Yipeng succumbed to her injuries a few days later. Among the injured, 49 were seriously hurt, including spinal fractures, head trauma, and internal injuries. The crash site, located on the runway at San Francisco International Airport, was a scene of devastation, with the aircraft's tail section separated and debris scattered over a wide area. Rescue teams worked tirelessly to recover victims and survivors from the wreckage. The investigation, led by the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, concluded that the crash was caused by pilot error during the final approach and landing. The investigation highlighted the critical need for improved training on manual landing procedures and better cockpit communication. In the aftermath, significant reforms were implemented to enhance aviation safety. These included enhanced training, improved pilot training programs to better equip flight crews to handle manual landing procedures and recognize critical flight parameters. Cockpit communication, emphasis on clear and effective communication within the cockpit to ensure timely and appropriate responses to flight anomalies. Automation management, better understanding and management of automated systems, including auto-throttle and autopilot, to prevent similar failures. The legacy of Asiana Airlines Flight 214 underscores the importance of vigilance, timely intervention, and continuous improvement in aviation safety protocols to prevent similar tragedies in the future. Thank you for watching Air Crash Detective. If you found this video informative, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more detailed accounts of aviation disasters and safety investigations.